behalf of the Strategicon convention staff and the Happy Jacks RPG podcast, we would like to apologize in advance for the event that you're about to watch on the internet. We recommend that you find something else to watch on the internet. There are plenty of things available to you, such as Geek and Sundry, or possibly Critical Role. There are many areas of good, albeit questionable pornography available on the internet as well that would be a fine, better program to watch than this. Unfortunately, they have requested me, David Kazay, of Monkey Fun Studios, to run Bedlam Hall. If you've never played Bedlam Hall before, we think you're probably better off, because it is a depressing, terrible game about horrible, disturbed people who frankly should know better than to be playing this sort of game. If you are familiar with the Happy Jacks podcast, you realize already that many of these folks do not know better and are playing anyway. Viewer discretion is advised, recommended, and probably more appropriate. If you've never played this game before, this of course takes place after the Great War, but before the next Great War, in Edwardian England, in the home of the Blackwood family. The Blackwood family, of course, is well-to-do, one of the members of the House of Lords, and in a normal, pleasant role-playing experience, you would be playing a member of the Blackwood family, enjoying the frivolity of the upper English aristocracy. That would be a good game, and again, we recommend you find that. Instead, these unfortunate players, or as I like to refer to them, victims, will be playing the waitstaff of the Blackwood family. And because we recommend that you do not watch this particular program, we made sure that the mundane aspects of their tasks as members of the staff are highlighted in the game that they're going to be playing. Again, Pathfinder, Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, Vampire the Masquerade, much better games than Bedlam Hall. Now, before you see that every one of these characters have been pre-created, and each one of them are playing a character, or a member of the staff. We will actually say what the members of those staff are before we actually begin. To my far left.
The chauffeur.
The maid.
The butler.
The valet.
The housekeeper.
The cook.
Now, although they are working together in the same staff, because this is a fictional type of game, which has no basis in reality whatsoever, they may actually take actions against one another that may intentionally get one another in trouble with their employers. Or they may brown nose, or they may intentionally, albeit cruelly and absolutely inappropriately, try to one-up one another in their working environments. This is a fictional game. So, every one of you at this table have a secret associated with your character. You do not want others to know that particular secret, because that secret, as in all fictional games, and never in the real workplace, may be used against you. None of the players have seen their secrets yet, until now. Please open your characters. This game, of course, is powered by the apocalypse, because we believe that good games are involving events that may destroy the entirety of the universe. And it's available through DriveThruRPG, Indie Press Revolution, MonkeyFunStudios.com, or wherever poorly written books can be found. Has everybody read their secret?
Yes.
Now you know why you got that.
Yes.
So, although your stats have already been chosen for you, please choose your character name as well. You do not have to use the suggestions that are there. And frankly, it doesn't matter, because we're not going to be playing very, very long in this game. I frankly don't want to be here, so I'm going to kill off everyone very quickly. Now, as As I said, this is a fictional working experience, so there is what's called prestige. Everyone within the staff is trying to gain prestige in the eyes of their employer. Prestige is the currency, you could say, of Bedlam Hall, in the fact that they want to be held in higher esteem than the rest of their staff. Everyone within this game will be starting with 1 prestige, with the exception of the butler, who will be starting with 2, because he's the head of the staff, and frankly, I like Adam better. So please mark down 2, for yourself.
I shall indeed.
Now, if you've never played a game powered by the Apocalypse, you have what's known as moves. Moves are both basic and custom to their particular roles within the staff. For instance, the butler, name one of the moves you have available to you or selected on your sheet.
Stiff upper lip.
And would you please explain what that is?
When attempting to ignore the strange, you may roll fortitude instead of your composure.
And what that means is that whenever they are in a situation where they need to roll dice, they will roll 2d6. Mostly because I don't like spending money on more dice. And when they do, 10 and above is success, 6 and below is a failure, 7 to 9 is a partial success, and not rolling at all is the best decision. So, in certain rolls, you will be rolling dice and then adding your stats. As he said, your composure or your fortitude would be added to it in order to make a success. As I also said, there are basic moves on the back sheet and custom moves as well, and also what's called a cruel move. A cruel move is a move that only you can do once per session, and it is exactly that. It's a move that will absolutely ruin the game for everybody else, which is why every single one of you has a cruel move to do to the others.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions so far?
No.
Good, because I don't care if you do. Very well. So,
If we don't.
we understand what the attributes are, we understand what basic moves are, we understand what particular moves are. Now I'm going to ask some questions of the staff in order to fill time, because I am paid by the hour for this particular event. So, my first question, of course, will be to the butler. Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, what is your name, sir?
Mr. Trunkle, my lord.
Mr. Trunkle, my lord. I see. So
No,
tell me, Mr.
simply
Trunkle.
Mr. Trunkle.
I thought you. Okay. So, Mr.
Mr.
Trunkle.
Trunkle, my lord.
I understand. Okay. So, Mr. Trunkle, my lord.
No, Mr. Trunkle is my name, my lord.
All right. Sir.
Yes.
So, how long have you been with the household?
Well, I've been with the household approximately 14 years.
I see. I understand that you were, for a while, unwell.
Yes.
I see. Coughing fits, I understand.
There's nothing to be concerned about, my lord.
You look quite well.
Quite well, yes. My health is hale and hearty.
So, Mr. Hale and Hardy, tell me more about...
No, Mr. Trunkle, my lord.
Right. So, Mr. Trunkle, my lord.
Mr. Trunkle is my name, my lord.
So, we'll switch to the maid. And what is your name?
Bennett, sir.
Thank you. Miss Bennett, sir.
No, no, my name is Bennett, sir.
Are you trying to be funny?
No, sir.
Okay.
You would never have the gumption to be funny.
Oh, of course not.
It's not my place.
Because we're English. So tell me, Miss Lovett,
Bennett.
whatever. So, Miss Bennett, so how long have you been with the household?
4 years.
I see. And what did you do before that?
I lived in London.
I see. Have we met before, Miss Bennett?
I don't think so.
I see. And then the chauffeur, what is your last name?
Graves.
Thank you. That is how you answer your last name. So, Mr. Graves, how long have you been with the household?
A while.
Oh, good. And what did you do beforehand?
Drove.
Are you the chauffeur? Are you an excellent driver?
I drive.
I see. What kind of vehicle do you prefer the most? A Bentley, Rolls-Royce, Duesenberg? Or...
I don't.
Very well. Let's now speak with the valet. Sir, what is your name?
Eddie Treach.
Mr. Treach. So, Eddie, you said your name is Eddie?
Yeah.
Okay. So, how long have you been the valet for Mr. Mr. Blackwood?
Well, since the end of the war, I didn't have enough money to go home.
I see. So for those of you wondering, a valet is different than a butler, and a valet is actually dedicated to the lord of the manor to make sure that he is always looking proper, wherein the butler is focused as the head of the staff, usually the focal point between the family and the servants. However, that's different than the housekeeper, because the housekeeper is actually the disciplinarian and the person who is more of the authoritarian for the staff themselves. And so we do have our housekeeper. What is your name, ma'am?
Hughes.
So, Mrs. Hughes, how long have you been with the household?
I've been with the household my whole life.
I see. Are you feeling quite well?
Yes.
All right. And of course, we have the cook, Mrs. Levitt. Good morning. So, Mrs. Levitt, where are you from?
From London originally. Why do you ask?
Oh, no. Read your secret again.
From Nova Scotia, Canada.
I see. So, as the cook, what is the best dish that you create?
Raspberry pudding.
Of course. And since you've come to London, or actually the household, what is the strangest thing you have seen?
A tractor? Why?
All right. She has seen a tractor. This will be an exciting day.
There it is again! The tractor's back!
As long as we don't have raspberry pudding too often, it's a little indulgent, don't you think?
Every simple one.
Raspberry pudding is the best, you stupid window sniffer.
Oh! Wow! She
Wow.
told you!
What an interesting little segue.
That is quite uncalled for, Mrs. Lovett. Wouldn't you think?
Only phrases. Don't worry.
Window sniffer, indeed.
So, we'll ask some questions of the window sniffer. So, Mr. Trunkle, sir.
Yes, my lord.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Trunkle, my lord.
No, Mr. Trunkle is my name, my lord.
So, my question for you, of course, as the head of the staff, you have known what's going on amongst all of them correctly. You know, and what they do correctly and what they don't do correctly.
Yes.
So, my question, just for you and I, and not for the rest of the staff who are not listening, which one of them should be fired?
Eddie Trench, of course.
And why should
And possibly Mrs. Lovett.
So why should Mr. Tretch be dismissed?
Well, he insists on a lack of formality and decorum.
I did hear that he is rather uncouth.
Yes.
What is-
Practically an American.
No, there's no need for
Practically.
that sort of language.
I am.
So,
Don't speak of such things, Edward.
Please think of the children.
Yes. Think of the children.
so actually, Mr. Treach,
Yes?
my question for you is, why is it that you think that the housekeeper's, trying to seduce you?
Well, if the choice is between me and the window sniffer. And Graves, he's got that smell of oil about him.
Is that what that is?
So, I'm a fairly obvious choice, I think.
Of course.
Graves is also not allowed in the house except for meals, so exposure is limited.
Of course.
Unless you intend for more exposure than you intended outside.
So Mr. Graves often Mr. Trunkle, so Mr. Graves also spends a lot of time in the garage
Well, as he should.
alone
He is the chauffeur.
with the automobile.
Yes. A fittable companion for a man of such,
Chauffeurness.
yes, shall we say.
So, actually, Mrs. Bennett, between us girls, and only you.
It's Miss.
Oh, I'm sorry. Miss Bennett, my question for you is, why do you feel that the housekeeper's been trying to seduce you?
Well, I don't like to say.
Of course not. It's just between you and I.
Well, I know you can't see much in my present outfit because that's appropriate, but
Huh?
I do have rather a lovely shape, if I say so myself.
I see.
Quite uncomfortable.
You weren't meant to be listening.
Heard nothing.
He's always listening.
Like a doozy.
The rest of us were outside the room as well, though.
Let me change the topic here. Miss Lovett,
Yes.
so I know that Mr. Trunkle has a nickname.
Yes.
What?
Angry knickers.
Yeah. I see. Well, we'll keep that between you and I.
Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, your character's name?
Mrs. Hughes.
Oh, that's right, I didn't write that down. So, Mrs. Hughes,
Yes.
my question to you is, why do you think Mr. Graves, well, frankly, is incompetent at what he does? Better yet, let me ask you this. What do you sometimes find him doing in the house where he's not supposed to be doing with Mr. Trunkle unaware? And with whom?
Well, occasionally I'll come across Mr. Graves. And that other newer fellow, I can never.
Treach?
Mr. Treach,
The
yes.
American?
Yes. Occasionally they'll be inside the house, just sitting and
Like
talking.
people?
Like people. Like,
Inside?
yes, it's quite disturbing. They just sit and talk.
Sitting is very disturbing.
It is. You should always be moving, even if very slowly. I find that sitting still for too long coagulates the blood.
I completely understand.
Coagulated blood is the devil's playground.
Yes.
I'm sorry, did you say the devil's playground?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've never heard that phrase before.
Oh, it's just a phrase.
Could you
simple
tell me more
phrase.
about it, please?
It's a phrase referring to the fact that when one is at rest, the devil works his magic on you.
Oh, yes.
As one should never be at rest, one should always be working, attending their duties.
Absolutely. One should never allow themselves to be the victim of the devil.
Of course
at any
not.
point.
You?
Don't you agree, Mrs. Lovett?
Yes.
I thought so. So, you said that you're from Nova Scotia, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to be 100% sure. So, I'm sorry, what did you say your best meal was?
Raspberry pudding.
I see. And so, just so I understand, which of the staff did you think is most derogatory towards your raspberry pudding? Is it Mr. Trunkle?
Yes.
Window
Stupid
linker.
window sniffer.
Window sniffer.
Sniffer.
That's right, Mr. Window Sniffer.
Yes.
That's right. I'm just making sure I understand that.
Yes.
Okay, and so, one question I had.
Yes.
So, in which room have you seen Mr. Graves potentially without his trousers?
The dining room.
Oh my God. That's just a frightening thing to know. Is it true?
Tittered.
Do you think he was waiting for Mrs. Hughes?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's just terrible. I've heard such rumors. In fact, well, we'll get back to that. So, Miss Bennett, my question for you is it true what I heard that from the housekeeper, Mrs. Hughes, that Mr. Graves has the problem keeping his trousers on?
Well, I resent that remark. Why are you asking me?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
How should I know?
I didn't. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to suggest that you would know anything about taking one's clothes off.
That's right. I don't.
That's right.
Not a thing.
Not at all. Because,
It's not her job.
because without one's clothes,
Whose
one
job
might
is it?
see. What's the phrase?
Angry knickers.
Thank you. That's what I thought. All right. So,
Sneaking suspicion that nickname refers to me.
Window sniffer.
Well, I see how it is to be.
Mr.
then.
Graves, could you open the window, please? It seems stuffy in here for some reason. Like something's foul.
No.
That's a household duty, I do believe, sir.
Oh, I see. That's true. Mr.
Don't you want his greasy fingers touching the windowsills?
Actually, that's a very
Much
good
less
point.
the pains?
Mr. Graves doesn't look like he has any oil on him whatsoever. You are a very tidy chauffeur. How do you do that in the presence of so many, automobiles?
Very carefully.
As the only person in there. Alone. Very well. Just making conversation. So, Miss Treach.
Yes?
Okay, so one more question. So I understand that Lord Blackwood has occasionally been seen wearing very provocative clothing. So I wanted to understand, because you're the one who puts his outfits together, what prompted you to put those colors together?
Well, the Lord has eclectic tastes. I merely try to provide things that stimulate him in everyday life.
Really? Geek and Sundry's available. I see. Very well. So actually, I think I understand a lot about these people that we're sitting with today. Unfortunately, we'll continue. So we'll talk about the actual staff, and today we're going to be talking about certain members of the household. Of course, there is Lord Blackwood, but of course, Lord Blackwood is on safari currently, so he's not in the household. But his charming wife is Lady Daffodil, and unfortunately, Lady Daffodil has caught a terrible disease lately. She is afflicted with the love of the theater. And unfortunately, she has decided to bring in a theatrical troupe into the household because, yes, this is a terrible tale of the perilous play. In case you were wondering, Lady Blackwood has brought in the Perfervid?
Yes?
Thank you. I want to make sure I got it right. To make a week-long residency at the hall under the stipulation that they produce a thrilling production in which she is to take up a starring role. And she insists that all of the members of the cast are treated as personal guests of the household, meaning all of you have the additional responsibilities in the household.
Is that quite necessary, lady?
Oh, well, let's ask Miss Lady Blackwood, of course.
Wouldn't they be more comfortable in additional servants' quarters or perhaps the barn?
Trunkalord, you know, of course, the barn burned down last year at the cotillion.
Well, I
I
suppose.
swear my husband's going to just make everything explode sometimes. But it was quite pretty, wasn't it?
It was.
It was the prettiest blue I've ever seen burn.
Was quite a strange color indeed, milady.
So I want you to make sure that the cast is having a wonderful time, while they're staying with us. I want to make sure. Do I look all right?
You look quite lovely, milady.
Where
as
is-
always.
Where is Miss Bennett? Where is she?
Here I am,
want to-
milady.
Oh,
How can I be of service?
Bennett, do you think this is a nice outfit, or do you think this is a dramatic outfit?
I think you look quite nice, milady.
Oh, I wanted to look dramatic.
Oh, well, I can go and see what
No,
you have.
no, I'll just have to suffer.
Perhaps a bow of magenta or some other modern color.
Yes, magenta, that would be lovely. I do believe that. Well, no, I wouldn't possibly want to be bothered.
How can I help, milady?
No, I don't want to be in trouble at all.
No trouble at all.
Milady, Miss Bennett's job is to deal with your trouble.
Oh, but.
You
well,
can't be trouble to your
Yes,
own
yes, yes.
maid.
Yes, I do believe that perhaps today should be based off of magenta. What an excellent idea, Trunkle. So today I
Thank you,
want to.
Mr. Trunkle.
Yes, I think it would be lovely if we could have magenta everywhere. In fact, today's luncheon should be magenta.
Oh,
Go speak to Miss Lovett immediately. That would be fantastic. And I want to make certain that my son Rubric will not be getting into any trouble here. So where is that Mr. Cheech? I know that Lord Blackwood's not here, so he must have nothing to do whatsoever.
likely he does not. He seldom seems to. I shall assign him to Ruprecht immediately.
You are absolutely satisfactory. I dare say you're almost mediocre. It is lovely how you do things. When you're in the room, it's barely like you're here at all.
Please, milady, there's no need to be effervescent in your praise.
So, I want to make sure that Rubric is kept absolutely busy, and I want everything to be magenta tonight. Perhaps even my daughter Bagatha, perhaps.
Lady Bagatha should be there.
If she must. So, I'm gonna go put on my magenta outfit.
Right, I'll see what we have then.
Oh, but no, I want it to be both magenta and off magenta.
Naturally, my lady.
Of course. Otherwise, it would be unnatural.
Quite so.
Yes.
If you'll excuse me, milady, I shall direct the staff.
Excellent.
So, what are you doing, Mrs. Hughes?
Well, if we are to have a magenta time tonight, I suppose I will arrange for some flowers to be delivered. I need Graves to go into town and pick them up.
I would agree. So, where is Mr. Graves at this time?
Lounging
One
about.
leg in, one leg out.
Lounging about in the domains of my castle, the garage.
Very well. So, are you going to go speak with Mr.
Yes.
Okay. So, as you are in the domains of your castle, acting as the master of your domain, you feel a cool chill enter the garage, as if the
Mrs.
whole
Hughes?
room.
Yes.
I thought I sensed your presence.
Quite. So, you've probably already heard, but the lady requests a magenta evening tonight. So, I would like you to go into town and pick up several large bouquets of magenta hued flowers.
It's good to want. Do we need?
Well, the options at this point are you go get flowers and then someone else gets to arrange them. Or you go get paint and then you get to do everything yourself.
She is directing the staff, by the way, which is a basic move. So what you're going to do is that, if you flip over your character sheet, you'll see what the basic move is. All right, and specifically, you roll plus etiquette.
And because of my move, I have Stern Taskmistress, which when I'm directing staff, I roll with something extra.
Okay. So specifically, what rolling with something extra is that even though that most situations are rolling 2d6, you roll 3d6 and choose the best of 2.
Is that a 1 or 6? A 6. 12.
So,
Plus etiquette?
Oh, plus, oh wait. Oh, roll plus etiquette, that's right. My etiquette is 1, so 13.
so sorry, we're kibitzing. Because we'd rather be somewhere else. All right, so specifically, you are being directed. If you choose not to do it, you will lose prestige. And if you lose all your prestige, you may get dismissed from the house and have to get a real job.
Well, see, I'd love to go into town and to get your magenta flowers, but the vehicles aren't running currently.
Well, of course they're not. You put the key in, and then you turn it. I've been told that's how this works.
Is that how it's done?
Yes.
Care to show me?
Just so I understand, what are you doing, Mrs. Turnip?
Bennett,
Whatever.
I'm upstairs trying to look for anything magenta
Okay.
to put on her ladyship.
All right. So, what are you doing?
I'm taunting, hoping that Miss Hughes would actually show me how to start the car. Or perhaps
I understand. Why would you know how to start the vehicle?
I don't necessarily want to start the vehicle. I'm content not touching the vehicle.
No, you can get in it, see what would happen.
Get what in?
No. It's perfectly fine.
No.
Go
No.
now.
I don't need to be in the vehicle.
No.
The vehicles are perfectly fine without me in them.
Oh, no. It would be fine.
Nope.
Just that vehicle there.
Nope. The vehicles have sat there quietly all along. They can sit there quietly longer without me in them. That's fine. I don't want to. I don't need to.
So, Mrs. Hughes, for whatever reason, Mr. Graves is sitting there going, nope, I don't want to. nope, while staring at the Duesenberg. Nope. It looks like he's perspiring. A very un-English thing to do.
Are you feeling quite well, Mr. Graves? You look rather moist.
My pants are on, yes. You're right, I'm not feeling well. Beg your pardon, excuse me, must go now.
So he. So she's giving you a direct order to do this. Okay. So what are you going to do?
Refuse the order because I have to leave. Not feeling well.
Okay, so you realize by doing that you will lose the prestige and you will be dangerously close to being dismissed.
Yeah, yes.
Or, potentially, you could run to the village.
Mm. I'm a capable man.
You are?
I'm certain I could make it to the village and back in good time.
Sounds absolutely logical.
Why drive a car? Good brisk walk.
All right. So, Mr. Treach, what are you doing?
I'm in his lordship's closet.
Sachet.
Where else would I be? That's where my primary duties are. No one's given me any other direction, so I await his return.
This,
Stand in the closet like
this is Edwardian England. It's not uncommon for English staff to be in the closet. What? Anyway, so I believe Mr. Trunkle, you were going to be.
Yes, I'm searching high and low for Edward, Mr. Treach. I suppose I should check his lordship's chambers.
You should.
I'm not hiding.
Mr. Treach!
He's just.
Oh,
in
yes,
the
sir.
closet.
Just standing.
Mr. Treach,
Yes, sir.
what are you doing in his lordship's closet?
I await his lordship's return and need for clothing.
It should be quite some time.
How do I know when his lordship will ask to return and change his clothes from travel?
Well, I should not know, but
Good.
perhaps you'll consider something a little more sedate the next time you do make these choices. His lordship has been looking rather risque lately, hasn't he?
No, not at all. It's a new decade.
And he requests these fineries that you put him in?
Of course. Look at this closet.
Yes.
And it's not at all organized. At all. It's just, yeah.
I would like to. I am scanning this room to see if everything is in place.
Oh well, that'll be a funny thing.
Which I believe, I roll with something extra when verifying everything in its place.
Yes, you do.
So I roll 3
Yep, and take the best of 2.
Okay. That'd be at 9. And then do I add
Yep.
my
Etiquette.
0. So 9 total.
Okay. So your question is.
My question is, I know most of these.
Oh, I doubt you do.
Something out of place in this room, clearly. Something been added or... has there been a trouble in this room?
Well, that's a very funny question
I didn't find it humorous at all.
because what you see is spread across the closet, or particularly the wardrobe, is books of what's called method acting that looks like it came from Lady Blackwood. They look like these actual books were part of the library downstairs, but these are books you've never personally read. And the clock chimes. Because time's passing,
Yes.
getting closer.
Was there something else, Mr. Trunkle?
Yes, Mr. Treach,
It's the next day.
Whoa.
No. It's just time's passing. Second by second,
Yes,
hour by hour.
of course it is. That's what time does. It
Hap-
marches on.
Towards its inevitable conclusion.
That's completely unnecessary to be concerned about.
Right.
It's quite all right. Mr. Treach, if you'll to young Ruprecht.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Do you need a drink of tea or something, sir?
No, I'm quite fine.
Oh.
Sure. See to Mr. Ruprecht, as we are to host this theatrical troupe.
Oh, I was hoping I would be able to enjoy the performance.
I don't think any of us are going to enjoy the performance. It's a theatrical troupe.
I shall depart to find young Master Ruprecht.
Yes, do so. If you'll excuse me, I
Pardon
must see
me?
about a raspberry pudding.
Yes.
Young Ruprecht, is that you?
Hello, Mr. Treach.
I'm so glad to find you here. Mr. Trunkle and I were just talking about getting to enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Would you like to accompany me downstairs?
Okay.
Does that serve you, Mr. Trunkle?
It does indeed. Go about your
Very good.
business.
Come, young master.
Rupert. Go with Edward, Master Rupert. Well, you have your work cut out for you, Yankee Doodle.
And the front doorbell rings.
Ooh. I suppose that's me.
Nice
Just to make
run
sure,
from
by the way,
Correct.
is everything okay down in the kitchen?
Yes.
Just checking. Okay. And what are you making?
Raspberry pudding.
Just making sure. Thank you.
It is magenta, after all.
It
Yes.
is.
Yes.
Almost like he planned.
I actually didn't.
All right.
But when I realized it, it made me giggle.
All right. So. All right. So yes.
Yeah. Yes, I opened the doors.
And as you open up, a gentleman wearing a cape and a velvet smoking jacket bursts into the room and says, "Stand back! I'm about to enter."
You have entered, sir.
Thank you! Let me do that again.
It was quite sufficient the first time, but... Creak?
Stand back!
Yes.
I have entered.
Mrs. Hughes!
Yes.
Believe your services are required. Please.
I am Sir Cortland Pennyroyal. Of course.
Of course. Mr. Pennyroyal.
I am here on the request of Miss Blackwood.
Lady Blackwood.
Yes. Line! Lady Blackwood.
Yes, sir.
I would like you to get my things. They are in the handsome cab outside. I believe he needs some sort of payment. I'm sure you'll take care of that. Where is my room? I must prepare.
We shall see to your needs, sir, Mrs. Hughes.
Oh, dear God.
I will take you to your room, sir.
Yes. You will.
This way, please.
I do believe the rest of my group are available in the handsome cab. Waiting to come in!
Do they require a queue, sir?
No, I believe they can come in one by one in line.
Very well, sir.
I shall fetch them, Mrs. Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Trunkle.
And please pay no attention to Ophelia. She is simply over dramatic.
I assure you I have no intention of paying any attention at all beyond what is required.
Do not encourage her. She will expect applause. Applause, I said! Thank you. Give us nothing. Thank you. I am a trained thespian.
Yes. I have heard such.
Now, where are you?
I'm waiting at the foot of the stairs to see, to slowly sort of ooze up the stairs and see him to his room.
As you do. Treach.
I've taken the young master down to the kitchen for a snack.
Sounds good. All right.
He gets hungry at this hour.
Yes.
Especially after being taken.
All right. So,
Whoa.
How young is Master
Take-
Rupert?
Mrs. Lovett.
The
See,
butler
I'm gonna
is
keep
drinking
going.
problem.
Lord, that was just like condensation. Just like a gallon of water just
It's really quite inappropriate.
Dare I say, moist.
Don't.
Perhaps Mr. Graves can loan you a pair of pants.
He doesn't seem to be using them at the moment.
Very well. So, Mrs. Lovett,
Yes.
Mr. Treach comes down with young Rupert. Rupert, of course, is a sprightly fellow of 6 foot 11 inches. And approximately 325 pounds.
Oh.
And still growing.
Mrs. Lovett,
Yes.
I believe that young Master Rupert is needing a snack.
Mr. Trunkle wants me to learn how to do things.
Yes.
Do you like Mr. Trunkle?
Yes. Thank you.
Is that raspberry pudding?
Yes.
Where did you learn where to make raspberry pudding?
In Nova Scotia, Canada.
I like raspberry pudding.
I'm very glad, sir.
Did somebody show up at the house?
I
Yes.
don't believe so.
Yes.
Someone has?
Yes.
Oh. But we should finish your snack before we concern ourselves with the doings of the front door.
Yes.
Get him his fork and the cork.
Yes.
You're very nice, Mrs. Lovett.
Thank you.
Now, meanwhile, so Mr. Graves, you've gotten into the local village by now. And there, of course, is a flower girl there, a peddler.
You want something? You want some posies?
No.
Why are you breathing all dirty? Are you some sort of matcher? You look quite moist. Have you been running? Something after you?
No, dear. Looking for some flowers.
Oh, is that what they call it these days? I'm a good girl. You ask anyone.
Not looking for little
Stop
rose
breathing
bud.
on me like that. This room. Well, all right. What's your name?
Dear God, what was the color again?
Magenta.
Magenta. Thank you. What magenta flowers do you have?
stripes. I can tell by your shoes. You know how I know that? Because you're not covered in shite.
Well, that would make me king, wouldn't it?
Oh, he's king, is he? I'm King Running Man. I want some magenta flowers, don't I?
Yes, I do.
All right, let me look through it.
She's looking through her basket.
What you need these for anyway?
For an event at the manor.
Oh, you live up there.
And the thunder which is odd considering it's the middle of the day. But there's thunder and lightning, of course.
Oh, that place, nothing right's up. That happens up there, you know. Nothing's right. Well, I do have these begonias. 5 and 6.
I'll take 2.
So that's 10 and 12.
That's math, that is.
That's math, that is. I know me maths.
Extraordinary. Bill them to the master. Whatever his name is.
Mr. Blackwood.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Oh, and would you do this for me? Would you please give one of these little white flowers to poor little Bagatha? Now that girl, she's so troubled.
Ms. Bagatha?
And last I heard, she just wasn't feeling good at all.
She felt she feels fine, I'm sure.
Last I saw her, she was actually in the local cemetery, you know.
Last time I saw her, she was walking around. How could she be in a cemetery?
Not now, you ditz! I mean, like a few nights ago, she was out there just draping about. You know, she's one of them upper class women, so she drapes wherever she likes. I understand. You have one of them draping couches, don't you? Just drape everywhere. Don't crush the flower. What are you? Some sort of punce?
No, my dear. I'm certainly not a ponce. I'm a chauffeur.
Oh. Why are you running?
Question of the hours.
Because the car is
That's
not...
logics, you know. I know me maths and me logics. I'm smart. I'm a prodigy. I plan to get up in the world. I'm not just going to be a flower girl all my life. I'm actually going to make something of myself. I've got my eye on a young fella, I do. He's a chimney sweep. He's got his own brush.
Quite a catch.
Chim, chimney, chim, 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 chim.
I was going to break into song, but you beat me to it.
Why are you running?
Because the car is not.
Well, that makes logical sense. All right. Here's your flowers, and be sure to give that to poor Miss Bagatha. I just worry about her. Someday she's just going to drape on the wrong fella.
Or tombstone, evidently.
Be very careful, my governor. There's drapists everywhere.
Indeed, there are lots of drapists
I
everywhere.
know in the cemetery, you know, she's, all draping all over those statues. She's a young girl, you know.
Which statues was she draping on?
One of the Blackwood family. Ew! Steady!
From Blue.
No, it was one of them. She was all over there in the cemetery doing lingo and the statutory drapes.
There's a lot of draping going on.
It is.
It is England, after all.
This is terrible. It's not funny. No laughing matter that. Well, off you go. You got a far way to run.
Right, I'm going to head back to the manor and try
Don't
not to
you
get
crush them
draped.
flowers. If I heard you crush that flower, I'm going to come back to you. My name is Eliza Doomach.
Eliza,
That's Miss Doomach to you.
Miss
But for
Dumont.
another
Please.
pound, I could be Eliza.
Do that to the manor too.
I get it. I don't like crushed flowers, but a broken flower is a different thing.
So meanwhile,
So meanwhile,
so Bennett,
Yes.
you have found. I really could have done that voice for much longer, and that's not right. So Miss Bennett, you
Yes.
found the magenta frock, I believe, correct?
Well, I mean, the missus didn't have anything, obviously, because why would anybody have anything in magenta? So I did find some curtains, and I hastily stitched together a sort of drapey toga thing.
That's right.
Yes.
So you have served the house, so why don't we roll some dice on that? Hooray, we do moves! This isn't just improv theater for people who have day jobs.
Wait, it's not.
Go! Roll! Now!
I rolled a 9, but I have a -1 on my fortitude.
Okay, so it's an
So it's
8.
12.
Yeah.
Oh, good. All right. So, oh, I'm going to introduce another character. Fantastic. So when you're walking out from upstairs into the from downstairs to the upstairs dressing room of where Lady Blackwood is, you see an extremely good-looking fellow with his hair slicked completely back. He's wearing an ascot, and he's standing there. And he's been watching you. Hello.
Hello.
Perhaps I interrupt you. I didn't mean to. My name is Prentice Pennery Kensington, and you are
Oh, I'm Miss Bennett.
Miss.
I'm her ladyship's lady's maid.
Oh, you're. I see. That's. I would never have guessed that you were just a maid. You seem so delicate. I'm
Thank
part.
you, sir.
I'm part of the Perfivid Players. You know, I perform.
That's quite a
with
difficult word to
Sir
say
Penny.
now, isn't it?
Of course. So I am part of Sir Penny Royal's Perfivid. I'm part of the acting.
Easy for you to say. Well, welcome.
Have you ever considered a life on stage?
Oh, not again.
I'm sorry,
Nothing, no, I have not. It's not suitable.
but you have such a lovely shape.
Well, thank you, sir.
Would it be too forward if I take your hand?
Yes.
Yes,
Ah! Oh, I
Introduce you.
apologize. I didn't see you standing there. I thought that was a cold draft coming from an open window.
Not at all, sir. Miss Bennett, I believe her ladyship is still unclothed.
Right away, Mrs. Hughes.
Unclothed, you say? Well, I wanted to make sure. I'm so glad that you're here. So, I really do not want to raise a fuss. I just want to make sure that, I am a simple man, but I do have very specific dietary needs.
Certainly, sir. What is it you require?
I don't want to be in trouble at all. I mean, I realize I'm a guest here, but
No trouble at all. sir.
Well, I was wondering, are those the only pillows that you have in the bedrooms?
Mean specifically or in general?
Well, not to raise a fuss, but you're saying that these down pillows, is that all that you have?
I mean, I believe there are other pillows within the expanse of the manor.
But are they all of goose feathers?
No, sir. I believe we have other materials, if that would.
No, I couldn't possibly bother you.
No bother at all, sir.
Well, if you have it available, I'd like my pillows to be made of dried peas. If it's not a problem, I'm sure that I'll be able to find a normal sleeping pattern here, on duck feather things.
No, sir. I'm sure we can accommodate you, sir. One moment while I go find the peas.
Excellent. I as long as it's no bother. So,
No bother.
is Lady Blackwood often undressed in the household?
For approximately 5 to 30 minutes a day, I suppose.
You wouldn't happen to know what 5 to 30 minutes that is?
No, sir. That would be the purview of Miss Bennet, as she is her lady's maid.
Of course. As a member of Pennyroyal's Perfected Players, I wouldn't want to go beyond my purview.
Of course not, sir. Now, if you will excuse me, I will attend to the pea pillows. Then she sort of oozes back into the wall.
I like oozing as a mode of perambulation.
Okay.
Quite unorthodox.
Mr. Tunkel, what are you up to?
Yes.
I believe you're with Sir Cortland, I believe. The lead actor.
Oh, Pennyroyal?
Yes.
Yes. And
In his bags, because I believe the Hanson cab was out there, still waiting.
Still waiting.
The horses.
Shouldn't the chauffeur have taken care of this by now?
That's a
That's
very
great.
good question. Where is the chauffeur?
Well, can't seem to find anyone.
He's
in
not
this
anywhere in the household.
Cut to the road leading up, and he just.
I'm sorry, I'm English. I don't run.
Little-
That's undignified.
Little purple petals flying as he goes in the air.
Yes, I'll go out to the cab and pay the bill.
Oh yeah, so they took this all the way from Chelsea.
You must be joking.
Yeah, they did. That's what they did. They took a cab there, and the cabbie's like,
Yes. What is your fare, sir?
£8, 12 quid.
8
Pounds,
pounds.
12 pence.
Like,
£8, 12 pence.
They made us have to go back and forth because that one, tough fella, Penny Whistle,
Pennyroyal?
whatever. He just wanted us to keep coming back because he didn't like my approach. So we had to come back and forth like 3 or 4 times.
I see. Multiple
Directors.
entrances.
Yeah, he's a bit of a one, isn't he?
Isn't he? Yes. Well, I suppose we shall pay this bill. Your hackney fare of £8, 12 pence may be drawn upon the exchequer of Lord Blackwood. See the.
There is a.
there is a carriage hat right there.
What's a game without hats?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
If you'll see the banker in town, he shall withdraw the funds for your fare.
Begging your pardon, sir. I don't mean to be causing any problems, but you're not going to let them be in your household for very long, would you?
It is not my household, except in the sense that I run it. However, they will be here so long as Lady Blackwood is pleased by them, which I imagine will probably be tomorrow morning.
Well, I don't mean to be causing no trouble, but have you ever heard of some play?
Some play.
Yes.
A perilous play, I'm sure. Sir, there is a raspberry pudding being served with dinner. My troubles cannot be increased further.
All right. Keep your waistcoat on, that's fine.
If you have some information to part
No,
about these
just
perfidy players of pennyroyals,
perfidy?
perfidy.
Parfait.
All I'm saying is, I've heard, my mother, she was a religious one, Church of England and all that.
Yes.
Well, she once said a few things about, have you ever heard of a play called The Monarch in Marigold? And the lightning goes off.
I assure you, sir, I am an upright citizen and hardly bother myself with theatricals.
Well, I didn't mean nothing by that, my lord. All I'm saying is that me mother said that, and I heard him talk about that at least 2 or 3 times. Well, he wasn't really talking to anybody, he was just talking.
Well,
I think he may have been giving what they call one of them monologues.
a monologue, sir?
Yes, but it was like multiple, so probably like a bilogue. Maybe even a trilogue if I really was paying attention to it.
Perhaps you should pay less attention to theatrical players and more
Alright,
attention to your
alright.
fare.
Alright.
I do appreciate your warning.
By the way, you got something on your spats.
Well,
And he takes off.
preposterous.
Sounds good. Alright. Meanwhile,
No good comes of raspberry pudding.
speaking of raspberry pudding, let's go back to the kitchen.
Sniffer.
Alright. So, what are you doing with Rupert and the fork?
Has he completed his raspberry pudding?
It's pretty much done.
Ah. Well, very good.
Because he has managed to get an entire ring of raspberry pudding around the floor
Oh God.
and around his face. Smeared everywhere. And maybe 2 or 3 bites of the raspberry pudding got into his mouth.
His snack is wonderful.
And you're pretty sure that about 4 or 5 mouthfuls of raspberry pudding got into yours. And the window. And the stove. And probably inside one of the cupboards. How he did that, who knows?
Well, young Master Rupert, now that you've had your snack, let's go outside and pretend to pull the car
Pretend.
around. You come with me.
I'll pull the car.
Yes. Come.
So what are you doing?
So we'll go out the exit to outside.
So, Miss Levitt, the whole kitchen is covered in raspberry pudding.
On the way out, though, I say, excellent pudding as always, Miss Lovett.
Thank you.
All right.
This reminds me of a scene from
Ah!
the Great War.
Yes.
She always just so silently.
The splatter pattern is particularly reminiscent. I feel so young.
I have seen a tractor.
They are quite strange things.
Yes.
Speaking of strange things, there is a theater troupe in that house.
Yes.
The lady requires magenta foods.
Raspberry pudding?
Yes.
Yes.
And also, I need a pound of peas.
Yes.
Dried peas, if you please.
Yes. I may have some stocked in the larder.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you don't even have to roll for that. So Mrs. Lovett reaches in and pulls out an entire bag of dried peas out of nowhere. Because you happen to have a move called...
Hidden in the larder.
That's right.
It's already in a pillowcase.
It
Yes.
is. All right.
You put the peas in her hands, you can swear like a little puff of dust comes up from her skin.
And dust came from her skin, not from the
Not
peas.
from the
Peas, no.
From Mrs. Hughes.
Yes.
Mrs. Hughes, Mrs. Lovett, what in the blazes has happened in here? There's raspberry everywhere.
It's a magenta day, sir.
There's no need to have magenta in the cupboards, is there?
Well,
Couldn't you confine your raspberries to the pudding?
Stupid window sniffer.
Now, Mrs. Lovett, there is no call for such language. I should speak to Lady Blackwood about your behavior if this were to continue.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. What? Perhaps we should see about repatriating you to Nova Scotia. Perhaps you would be more comfortable in some farmland or a place of raspberry cannery.
Angry knickers.
That's uncalled for again.
well, if you'll excuse me, I have a perfidied player to place peas upon. Good day.
Precisely what does that mean?
She's oozed away already.
Snail trail behind her, all moist.
Okay. So where are you off to?
To the room of the
Prentice
Ascot-
Pennery Kensington.
Yes, Prenticeberry Kensington.
Yeah, Prentice of the Perfivid Players.
Players.
Underneath Sir Penny Royal with the pea-packed pillow.
Hello. Yes.
Preposterous.
This is preference.
That's profound.
Perfect.
On the way, I snag one of the nice sort of pillow duvet covers and slip it onto the
Absolutely.
peas so it looks like.
Okay. Alright. And so you're going to the hotel, or not hotel, to the room?
Yes, to the guest room. Yes.
Alright, and so he, his back to you is currently.
Right. Pardon me.
Pranavana! Upon no map, nor stone, nor tree, our eyes are blind, our fingers bleed.
Quiet.
Pranaramva! Let us cast to the winds and let us tremble like broken birds that sing no songs.
So, like.
Pranavana! There are no wounds that slow our haste. There is no waking from our troubled dreams. And he grabs the water vase and he pours the water on the floor. You are ours, and we are theirs, and they are them. You are too. Consider this.
I very gently set the pillow down.
Oh, thank you. I'm still not 100% sure if I'm reading this correctly. It was written originally in Prussian by the Prussian playwright Sturm Drang.
That sounds quite foreign.
Yes. But Sir Pennyroyal did prefer that we do the Prussian playwright for the Perfect players. The Monarch in Marigold. And of course the thunder outside the window, and everybody in the whole house hears that.
Gesundheit.
I am supposed to be playing the character of the wet person.
Say no more.
Moist.
Do you know anything of the theater?
No, sir. I have lived my whole life on this estate.
Oh, I see. Well, we aren't really supposed to be performing this. But Sir Pennyroyal insists that we do it. Because it has never been performed in the continent before, you know.
Oh, quite unique then, sir.
Yes. I'm not 100% sure who will be running all the lines. I don't know, I wasn't expecting to do this, but I was the replacement player for this particular performance.
Oh, really, sir?
Yes, the last one had an unfortunate, perforation of his pancreas.
Oh, that is quite perilous.
Indeed. Precisely what I was thinking. Well, thank you very much. Oh, are those dried peas?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Did you require
No.
It's no trouble, sir.
Well, since you asked, the problem with the peas and the pillow specifically is that the peas and the pillow, well, it is quite plush, but I prefer them a little pummeled.
So, would you prefer powdered peas in your pea pillow, sir?
Perfectly precise, I believe.
What? Well, I will attend to this immediately, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. By the way, is there any way that you could bring up a fire? It's very cold in this room all of a sudden.
Yes, the house does fluctuate in temperature. I shall have someone come up and stoke a fire for you.
Miss Bennett,
Perhaps.
please. Meanwhile, the chauffeur arrives with his
Flowers?
Flowers.
yeah. Now, unfortunately, all the petals from the begonias have all been on the line, so they're really just green stems at this moment.
But now there's a nice magenta path leading to the house.
Yes, exactly.
A purple path.
The purple path. And the one for Bagatha?
Oh yeah, the white.
White
Was it
posy?
Posy.
posy? The white posy.
Posy.
Yes.
Still
So-
intact?
Yes, the posy is
Pristine.
perfect.
Pristine.
The posy is perfect and pristine.
Right. I enter the estate, the manor, looking for Miss Hughes.
Yes. I'm still carrying I'm carrying a pillow. That
For
looks
no apparent
for a
reason, she's carrying a pillow of perfectly powdered peas.
They're not
No,
powdered.
no,
Well,
no, powdered,
they're
yes,
not
no,
powdered,
no, no.
powdered,
They're
yes.
pre-powdered.
So
Yes,
just
pre-
perfectly.
They are still perfectly plump.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're perfectly
Perfectly
plump
A
peas.
little bit pokey. That's why probably why he wants them powdered.
Yeah. I see you have fetched some
Fetched.
flowers.
Yeah, underneath.
Flowers.
Air quotes.
You seem to have managed to deflower them on the way here. Though.
He deflowered the flower girl too.
But I left a nice carpet for everybody to step upon on the way here. They know the route to the manor, and I've decorated the grounds.
That is surprisingly useful. Thank you.
I do enjoy giving service.
I'm sure you do.
Have you seen Ms. Bagatha about?
The last time I saw her, she was in the back statuary garden, just sort of laying there.
Was she draping about?
Well, I'm not one to use such language, but I would not say that she was not draping.
Excellent.
Tell her to put a coat on. Girl's going to catch her death laying on marble in the English countryside.
Perhaps Miss Bennett could fetch a coat for her, and I could drape it upon her.
If you must.
I mean, I could be her draper.
I'm sure that's none of my business. But I must speak to Miss Bennett anyway, so I will have her come out if you will meet her in the statuary garden with Lady Bagatha.
Happily.
Okay.
I have a single flower this morning.
Okay. So you go into the back statuary in the courtyard, which, despite the heavy rain, is still very dry. It's like none of the water is hitting the bushes and shrubs. Or you have a very bad gardener. And nobody has the courage to tell Mr. Crotchwage that they want about any problem with the garden. Although you could try. So you can see that she's laying on a marble stone.
Looks like she's been draped a few times. Ms. Bagatha.
His repressed history. Let us not forget.
I had been asked by the flower lady in town to bestow this posy upon you.
That's very nice of you, thank you.
God, with a voice like that, who would want a draper?
Is that a white posy?
It's a white posy, possibly the only posy one could give to you, I suppose.
Graves, I just don't know. I've only had someone hold my hand. Never been chosen at any of the cotillions or balls. Graves, am I going to be an old maid? Tell me I'm pretty.
Miss Bagatha, possibly the prettiest daughter that the household
And she
has.
falls back into your arms, ready for you to catch her.
I don't
The
know
question
if
is Bagatha Rupert sized or
No.
Okay. Yeah, God, yeah. Good question. I might have to sidestep. Yeah.
Just for safety.
I suppose I should be serving the household by
Catching her?
catching her.
Now, specifically, Bagatha has a very interesting move called Distressing Damsel. And distressing damsel means that when people do anything to involving her, it will be at a -1 penalty.
Ah.
So please roll your dice with a -1 penalty involving Bagatha.
So just 2 dice straight up.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be 9 minus 1. And that's
42?
Fortitude is 2.
Okay, so it's a 10, so you catch her.
Ah!
Yes.
Oh. Oh.
Oh no.
Here we go.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Ready?
Yay!
Your hands are so delicate.
Bagatha.
It's like feeling petals draped against my skin.
Right. Petals against your skin. Your skin's like the fine English leather of the front seat.
Do you really think so? I would hate for me to never know the touch of a man's heart.
Don't touch mine.
Dave,
Don't.
may I use a cruel move at any moment?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I think a presentation of a posy
Yeah.
seals the curse.
Ooh.
And I'm going to use my cruel move, a heightened tension. I have the option of shifting all family members up 1 level in their troubles.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but I think it's going to be fun.
All right.
The plot thickens.
Practically Kurthost.
So specifically, everyone in the household, the members of the family, have what's known as a trouble, which grows in intensity when they have more problems. So specifically, everyone in the household, including the cast, now has a thing, or has gotten a little bit stranger in the household. Luckily, that's not going to cause any problems.
So it's going to be fine.
I understand that there's thespians in the household, Graves.
This is true, madame. They seem to be harmless, but perhaps
I would love to be part of the theater.
we should inquire for you.
Tell me, Graves, do you think like a girl like me would have any success at being a thespian?
With a voice like yours, absolutely.
It's so nice to feel a man's heart.
Every time, that's alarming.
It kind of takes the breath out of you, doesn't it?
I'm going to go watch them now.
You should talk to Mr. Pennyworth. Pennyroyal. This might be worth a penny or two.
Mr. Pennyworth, I'd be happy to talk to him. Maybe he'll let me be part of the show.
Perhaps you could touch his heart.
Does he have a heart on?
I believe he was wearing pants, madame.
I don't understand. I'm just a young, sprightly girl of 7 and 10. Are you all right, Mr. Graves? You seem to be a little bit perspiring.
Yes, I had a long walk, followed by catching something heavy like a cold or the lady of the house. Yes,
Okay.
I must move on now. Happy hunting for Mr. Pennyroyal's heart.
I'll go straight for it.
Well, okay.
Thank you, Graves. You're a lady's best friend.
Ah, there she goes. Woo.
Okay, so what are you doing, Mr. Graves?
Hiding, running, hiding. I
Okay.
think. Yes.
All of these things.
All right, we'll actually change the scene for a moment to, actually have other players involved. So, Mr. Treach, what are you up to?
I am sitting upon the hood of one of the vehicles,
Oh, the Duesenberg? I'm sorry, Duesenberg
Yes.
or the Bentley?
the Duesenberg, I think.
Okay, technically it's all the same to you. Okay, all right. Sitting on top of the Duesenberg.
As young Master Ruprecht has his daily pull.
I thought he was pushing.
No.
No, he's pulling. He's pulling the car around.
I've rigged him a
Pulling
little
the car.
harness.
Oh.
Pulling the car.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Bennett, please take your mind out of the
Treach, I
gutter.
want to help build the scenery.
Do you now? Well, we know what we told you about woodworking.
No hammers.
But perhaps they're in need of help with some paint.
Could I have a saw?
Nope. Nope. But I'm happy to provide you with a sponge brush.
What
And
can
a
I
soft
cut with a
bucket.
sponge brush?
The paint.
What color's the paint?
Well, they'll need all the colors, I'm sure.
Red.
Indeed. I believe, in fact, your mother, the lady, has asked for many things to be magenta today. I'm sure you could help out in your own way.
All right, I'll paint it all.
That's wonderful. Now,
What
just
color's magenta?
it's almost red, but a little purple.
Red.
Now, remember, 3 more laps and then back to the garage.
Okay. Miss Bennett,
Yes.
what are you doing?
I am upstairs trying to persuade her ladyship to put on some clothes.
But my dear,
Oh, please. My lady.
Props.
I just don't know.
Naked time is over for today. It's time to get dressed.
But I keep thinking that perhaps I should do this like the Greek goddesses.
Even they wore a little something, milady.
This is a little something.
Well, okay, yes. Perhaps we can cover you a bit lower down. You've got me there, milady. But look, I have sewn this lovely magenta toga.
But I can't see anything.
Well, okay, lower. Oh, hello.
Oh!
It's very drapey, like you like it. It's very dramatic.
Oh, is Bagatha here? Oh my goodness.
I believe so. Where else would she be?
You mentioned draping and dramatic.
Well, you also like draping. Let's admit it.
But I'm a grown woman. Of course I drape.
You drape so elegantly, milady.
I do more.
Why
than
don't we
drape.
try to do it with some clothes on, please?
So you're trying to guide their direction.
Yes.
Specifically. So you're rolling the, again, folks, a move.
Okay, roll plus persuasion. My persuasion is +1. So I have rolled an 8.
Excellent. So you are trying to guide her direction. All right. So,
Consider your suggestion. Okay.
so I get to pick what.
Yep.
So Bennett, I have a question.
Yes, milady.
Do you ever know just what it means to be free and unclothed?
Well, I imagine it's very nice. Not that I would know, but it seems quite freeing.
My dear, you're You're perspiring.
Am I?
Why, you even look like you're glistening. Are you all right?
Oh,
You
yes,
should
sir.
not glisten.
No, you're quite right,
Are
lady. I should
you,
not.
are you ill? Have you eaten something improper?
Oh, yes, I think so. A touch of the raspberry pudding.
I should think that it would be a lovely thing to spend so much time unclothed.
Let me tell you. Oh, yes. I can only imagine that it's lovely. What? I mean, I would know myself, but it seems like
Are you
my
hot? You seem quite.
I am quite hot, my lady.
Your cheeks look. I'm sorry.
It is warm.
Well, we should cool you down. Miss Hughes! And the room gets colder.
Oh, thank you. That's much better.
And Lady Blackwood is sitting there with the toga sort of on her.
I did my best.
You look quite dramatic.
You see, Bennett, it is so freeing to be in one's altogether. Look at my ankle. Isn't that gorgeous?
It, as my professional opinion is yes.
Quite tantalizing, milady.
I do believe I should have somebody assist me in my lines. I was actually speaking to Sir Pennyroyal, and he shouts quite a bit, doesn't he?
He's loud.
He actually wants me to do the part of Clinomia. You know who can help me with my lines?
No, my lady.
Mr. Treach.
Out the window, the car's going by.
I believe Mr. Treach is currently getting Rupert his daily exercise.
I did see the Duesenberg go by.
Would you wish me to summon
Mr.
him?
Truckle instead. Mr. Truckle is very good at
Yes.
such things.
He is quite. Yes.
Oh, I should probably put on my dressing gown.
Oh, thank God.
What color is my dressing gown?
Well, I'm sorry to say it's not magenta, which I know
Oh,
is
well,
the
I
daily thing.
can't put that on at all.
Well, but lady, okay, it has magenta flowers on it.
No, that simply will not do. That will not do. I do not know what I'm going to put on.
Please, milady, anything you like.
This is quite nice.
Yes, isn't it?
Do you not know the freeness of having a cold breeze upon one?
Now, why would I know that, milady?
Oh dear, you seem to be turning pink again.
Oh, it's magenta. It's the theme of the day.
You're so clever. Isn't she clever?
Quite. If I may suggest a piece of attire. One moment. And
Okay.
and Mrs. Hughes is going to venture into Lord Blackwood's closet to find something magenta for her ladyship.
Okay, so
Excellent notion.
when you open up the closet, it looks like a disaster inside. It looks like all the clothes are put in different directions. Some of the worst color combinations you've ever seen.
So obviously there's magenta in there. Nope. Okay. So I'm going to ignore the strange,
Another move very appropriate for this time.
and I'm going to reach in and pull out a piece of magenta clothing. At this point, I don't care if it's pants. Just something vaguely purple red that the lady can wear.
Lady may wear pants.
Well, I'm not going to put them on her bottom half, obviously.
Obviously. What was I thinking?
That would be improper.
We can drape it about her top like a shawl.
Excellent.
Oh wait, no, I get to plus my composure,
Yep.
which is actually 1. So that's an 8.
Okay.
So 8.
Snug.
Okay. All right.
So I reach in. I'm looking for anything magenta.
Okay. So as you're in the closet, you hear the bedroom door open while you're tucked away, and you hear somebody coming in, and then you hear the armoire window or lid opening up. They do not know you're there. What do you do?
I've oozed myself into the closet, so I will very quietly, as my wont, poke my head out.
And you see Sir Pennyroyal going through the Lord Blackwood's armoire, looking at the cufflinks and the other jewelry, and finally, upon finding some of the cufflinks, puts them in his pocket and then closes the armoire and starts slowly slinking out of the bed.
This slinking,
Locked.
locked. This slinking has nothing upon my oozing.
Let's look to the plot board!
Ding!
Okay.
I found some.
Hey! Okay.
So I will wait until he is slinked out, and then I will ooze back towards the ladies' bedroom
Okay.
with whatever magenta item I have managed to grab.
Fantastic. Okay. So, meanwhile, because we do have a full group of people here, what are you doing downstairs in the kitchen? You're cleaning up everything, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, and you're just making sure on that. So, as you're cleaning up, okay, you can see Miss Bagatha through the window. She is taking a ladder from the garage. Where is the chauffeur, for God's sakes, at all this time? And she is putting the ladder up against the garage and slowly climbing to the top of the garage. As you watch this, and once she's on the roof of the garage, she kicks the ladder, and now she's up there. And then you see her slowly drape down.
So draped.
Angry knickers.
Nick hers. Okay. All right. Well, you can do whatever you want. So you can
So can I go get Mr. Trunkle?
absolutely.
He's the only one of, I don't like him, but he's the only one of sense.
Yes.
Most likely be in my office where I attend to my duties.
Yeah, with the ticking clock.
Isn't quite aware of the ticking clock.
As it grows later,
Yes,
as time slowly runs out.
it's running out quite quickly, I assure you. And you hear me talking inside my office.
Yeah.
To yourself.
What?
Yes.
Because I'm not there.
Mr. Trunkle.
But, yes. I'm like staring at the clock. Miss Lovett, what can I do for you?
Miss Bagatha is out on the grounds,
Out on the grounds.
draped on the garage.
Draped? Draped, you say?
Yes.
Can you do me a favor and roll plus fortitude, please?
7.
Okay.
There's...
I'm gonna please continue.
I suppose that we should attend to her. She's draped across the garage, you say?
Yes.
And where's the chauffeur in all of this?
Nova Scotia?
Nova Scotia, you say?
Yes.
Perhaps we should have a...
Then I'll free it up a little bit.
We should have words about your lack of variety in answering.
I've seen a tractor.
Yes, so you've mentioned before. But I don't suppose you saw a tractor on top of the garage. You saw young lady draping herself there.
Yes.
Well, and I don't suppose you've seen a chauffeur who is supposedly master of the garage. No, of course not. Because why would the chauffeur be in the garage? That's
Thank
as
you.
unlikely as the valet being in the closet. Very well, let's attend to this draped girl across the garage.
Yes.
You should check the closet for the chauffeur. Because I'm the valet and I'm in the garage.
So, where exactly is the Duesenberg?
It's vaguely back in the right spot. And I'm unharnessing the young master.
So, Mr. Treach,
Yes, sir.
I see you've given the young master his exercise.
Well, you said to keep him busy, and you know he likes to work up a good lather.
Have a daily pull, yes. Yes. Miss Lovett, if you'll show me to this draped girl.
Yes. I've seen a tractor.
In the,
what?
we don't own a tractor, I don't believe. We only ever pull the Duesenberg or the Bentley.
Suppose we could procure a tractor.
Oh, I'm afraid you'd have to talk to Mr. Crotchwaite.
And nobody wants to do that.
Oh, certainly not speak to Mr. Crotchwaite. No, we shall speak to Lord Blackwood when he returns about getting us a tractor, so that Mrs. Lovett may see one.
I've seen a tractor.
And I hope you do so again, madam.
Thank you.
Young Lady Bagatha. Ah! Lady Bagatha, please come down from the roof of the garage.
I cannot.
And perhaps why can you not?
Because I am not Lady Bagatha.
No, I don't see why you would be.
And then sits up, and you see it's Mr.
Penny roll.
Mr. Prentice Pensington. He goes, actually not Mr. I'm sorry, Sir Pennyroyal.
Sir.
No, we'll make it Prentice. I apologize. It's
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Alright.
I got myself confused. I got myself confused. It's Prentice, not Pennyroyal. Of the perforated players.
Yes.
Yes. He goes, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I see we were witnessing a performance.
Yes, a performance of the perforated players. Perfectly performed. And where is she?
You see her in an upstairs window.
Yeah. Thank you.
Perhaps you will regale us later with further performances. However, mockery of the household and our lovely damsel, young Lady Bagatha, should not be permitted by Pennyroyal's perfidy players in the performance of their duties.
So, at that moment, oh my.
It was a good likeness, though, wasn't
You
it?
look over and you see instead Lady Bagatha
Like her.
is up on the roof of the house. And it just dawned on you that he's wearing her clothes
Uh-huh.
Bagatha is not.
Oh, this won't do. Is the lady as God made her?
The lady is how she was made. But God may not have been involved.
I mean to say, sir, is she fresh?
You could say that she is as fresh as she will ever be in her life.
So like Stilton.
Mr. Graves, you have heard stories of the great P.T. Barnum in America and his tales of John Merrick, the Elephant Man, and his grotesquerie of his physiology. You don't know why you were reminded at this moment as you look up. that is what comes to mind. But you realize you should not dwell on such things because you realize that could be a problem.
Can I ignore the string?
Certainly.
This is roll plus composure.
Indeed.
Composure being a -1.
Fantastic.
Fantastic indeed.
Fine.
And that would be a 9.
All right.
Oh, okay. So, all right. That's not what you expected. Okay, so go ahead and ask your question.
What in good God's name is her deformity?
Well, you are no expert on insects, but you do
You
realize.
said insects.
Hmm?
Insects.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
With a CT.
But you are aware that they have a physiology of, multiple, not the,
Sections.
yes.
Segmented abdomen.
Yes.
Yeah. Now that was a partial success, so yeah, she looks rather Kafka-esque.
Oh. I've seen that movie.
But this is a partial success, so that means it's with a cost. Would you pass that to Paul, please? And when you look over, yeah, it's empty. It's loose. It's out there.
So, as in the garage?
It's not in the garage.
Is the garage empty?
Yes.
Right. Frida. No.
I would like to guide the young lady down from the roof, please.
Absolutely. Can anyone else see what's about to happen?
Raspberry
My
pudding.
persuasion is 0, so that is an 8.
Okay. Why don't you do your little persuasion?
Lady Bagatha, you must understand that time is running short upon us, and the players shall begin their performance soon. You wouldn't want to miss it, and of course, heaven forbid, the town see you in all of your glory.
It would be nice for any man to see me.
I'm sure it would, milady. But perhaps at the moment no one should.
Miss Bennett, what are you doing at this moment?
Am I even there? I thought I was still upstairs with the ladyship.
You are. Because the reason I bring this up is that now that her ladyship is now wearing clothes,
Oh.
you look out the window and you can see Mr. The butler and the chauffeur are standing there looking up above the house.
All right, I stick my head out the window and crane it upwards to see what they're looking at.
Well,
Oh my God!
What is it?
Oh, my lady, it's Lady Bagatha. She's up on the roof and she's got no clothes on. It does run in the family, doesn't it?
Oh dear, you saw her without her clothes on?
Yes.
Oh,
and
I'm
not
so sorry.
sure-
I'm so sorry, dear.
I'm
I'm
not
so
sure
sorry.
about the colour.
I did not mean for that to happen. Oh dear. Breathe. Just breathe. Breathe. That's what they say. Breathe. Would you like more brandy? Brandy. I won't tell anyone. I won't tell Mrs. Hughes. I won't tell anyone. Just sit down. I didn't like looking at it the first time I did either. It was very distressing.
I can
was
only
already
imagine.
screaming and I screamed for an entire
You're
month.
so brave, my lady.
I
You
know.
should have drowned her at birth.
I tried. Oh dear, I tried. I tried until she was 7 and it just wouldn't take. Just drink the brandy. Yes. Take all the time you need. Yes. Oh, there you go. Yes, now all the way down. Yes, all right. There. Good. Just breathe. I don't think we'd ever need to speak of this outside of our nightmares.
I quite agree, your ladyship.
I think we didn't see that at all. We will close the doors together and we will close the curtains and we will go find something else to do.
Excellent.
Come, let's go see Mrs. Stafford. I believe she's probably making something.
All right, off we go then.
All right. So upstairs, Bagatha is still.
I'll come down with one condition.
Of course, milady, whatever you desire.
Can Mr. Graves help me come down?
Yes, he can. He will fetch the ladder immediately and climb up to escort you down.
Oh, is that what all the fuss is? I thought it was an actor on the roof.
There's an actor on the other roof.
The other roof. We've
This
got
is
two roofs.
she's on the house. The actor's on the garage.
Oh,
Keep up.
Those Americans.
The actor's wearing her
Miss
clothes.
Bagatha. Should I send young Master Ruprecht up to get her?
No, Graves can do it.
Oh,
This is a
alright.
staff job, and as it involves the outside of the house, that seems the purview of the chauffeur. We're in vicinity of the garage.
She asked me to fetch her off the roof, not drive her.
Nevertheless, I'm assured that you are capable of both. The ladder, Mr. Graves.
Right.
I need you, Graves.
I'll hold the bottom.
Oh, what?
I need the hands of a strong man.
Go ahead, Mr. Graves. Time waits for no one.
No, it does
We
not.
are literally running out of time. I am anyway.
Can I get an outsider's perspective on what's going down?
I don't think you really need to roll the dice on that one. Yeah, she's wanting attention, and she wants yours
Oh dear.
because you're nice.
Because I'm nice. I caught her. I caressed her cheek.
You do.
Okay. I
First
will.
touch of a man she's ever had,
Oh,
and it's you.
well, you know. Duty. I will mount the ladder.
All right, because it's now erect.
Yeah, it's very erect, and I
Yes.
am proceeding to the top, if you know what I mean.
That's right. So you're at the You're at the holding the bottom, Mr. Treach?
Work your way
Yes.
Okay.
Happy to do so.
Okay.
Hold the base. It makes the top a lot stable, more stable.
Okay.
up. Use both hands.
I ascend to the top and get a closer view of Miss Bagatha.
Okay.
And then I.
So as you get closer, you start to feel like a roadside accident with a train. And
when
the
he
train
pulled her from the
backed
roof.
up
Yeah, the train. Like.
and hit them again.
Oh.
Ooh. Remember how bad you thought it looked far away? Now with the finer details, you can see all of the clarity of Agatha. And I'm trying to find a better way of saying the word nipple
Protrusion?
or protrusions.
How many in total?
It's really the odd number that sells it.
Yeah.
For those just listening in, that was a 7. Partial success.
Oh.
It comes with a cost.
Mr. Graves, when you've been to London, you've occasionally seen beggars that have been victims of the Boer War, and how when they have their limbs removed, sometimes they may have part of the partial bone sticking out through the skin. You're not sure where those bones came from her, maybe her rib cage of some sort, but it looks. Is that feathers of something or some sort of tear duct? Because it looks like something seeping from the line here and here and here. And as you get closer, you feel your hands are slightly oily. From the last time you touched Agatha and her bare skin. And again, reminding you of London, where they call it night soil. When before indoor plumbing started taking shape, and even now it's kind of rare, or not rare, but infrequent, where they throw the night soil out the window. And in hot August summer days of London, when the Thames backs up because the river will start to fall. Yeah!
You thought the rest of us were going to hit that X card?
Oh, I was gonna let that train go until the end of the tracks. Come on.
Like, I brought popcorn.
Just give me a minute.
You'll say, this is, yeah. I'm alright. I'm
going to be okay.
All right.
Happy Jack's RPG is not endorsed by Starbucks.
All right.
But we
Now that we've all had a little moment together,
Yeah.
what do you do?
I feel like this creature needs to be put out of her misery.
Sure.
I think a physical altercation
Oh, really?
with her possibly slipping off of the roof.
That's true. So you're doing your cruel move.
I'm doing my cruel move.
Nice.
That's excellent.
All right.
I don't think anybody's
So
ever
cruel
killed
moves
Fenrir.
are automatic. Cruel move is that all of a sudden, as he comes up, he does kind of like a body check that he learned when in his days of rugby. And you hear, "Thank you for rescuing me, Graves. I knew that you were the only man I could trust."
That's a big roof.
All right. So, Mr. Treach.
Graves, are you all right up there?
And then you hear. And Miss Bagatha falls on you.
Oh, no.
And you suffer 2 harm. Not from the damage, but from the oil that seeps from her sacks. Because it gets in your eyes and nose, mouth.
No, I'm gonna be
Ears.
Ah!
I know where you're doing this.
I've seen bloody worse.
Specifically, that's a move for the valid that he can say, "I've seen bloody worse."
I just kind of. I pull out a handkerchief and wipe myself down.
All right.
Roll her off. Stand back up.
Fold
Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Miss Bennett and Lady Blackwood come down to see Mrs. Lovett. Remember, other things are happening in the household. Hello, Mrs. Lovett.
Hello.
We were wondering, do you have any sort of thing for good, improved digestion?
Yes.
We saw the most terrible sight. Something I don't think we ever wanted to. Have you ever seen something so frightening in all your life?
Yes.
When, my dear? What have you ever seen?
I've seen a tractor.
Oh, my dear, yes, I understand. What do you think would be good for our constitution to make us feel better?
Raspberry pudding.
Oh, my God, yes.
I think that's what caused the problem in the first place.
Oh, no. I really think I probably shouldn't have been drinking all that when I was pregnant.
Oh, well.
The doctor, he suggested I do that. Because I know that afterwards I drank much more.
I don't blame you, milady.
I honestly thought Mrs. Hughes was going to leave us after making her have to change that poor girl over and over.
Ooh. Maybe that's why Mrs. Hughes is the way she is.
Perhaps I keep thinking that something dreadful happened to her.
Yes.
It's no trouble. I live and die to serve the household.
Oh dear. Thank you. Yes, I'll be fine.
As Mrs. Hughes is sitting in a corner with a meat tenderizer and a pillow bag full of peas.
Yes.
Like the librarian in Last Crusade.
And then there's one, and then she picks up her hammer for one especially loud thunk, and then the whole foundation just shakes when she puts that one down.
Absolutely. So Lord Pennyroyal, he says, actually remembering other characters in this entire thing.
Sir or Lord?
I'm sorry, Sir Pennyroyal.
Sir Pennyroyal.
Comes down and says, "What has happened?"
I've still got the meat tenders. Nothing, sir.
In this household, did I see that young woman fall from the rooftop?
My lady, our problems might be solved. Oh my God, yes.
Does that make me a terrible mother?
No.
I'll risk it anyway. My dear, I don't know what you mean. Ma'am, I am a professional. And I don't care if we have two non-player characters speaking with one another in a drawn-out conversation. Because this advances the plot.
I believe this is called a bilogue.
I'm sure.
You're not thinking of leaving, are you?
No, I'm sure he wouldn't steal away.
Oh, are you still there?
Yeah.
I forgot anyone else was in the room. We cannot suffer these type of injuries and slights. We are professional players, professional performancers.
Totally a word.
That'll be all in Shakespeare created all sorts of words.
Are you really like Shakespeare, do you think?
The hack. Come, we will pack our things. No! Don't. Oh, we'll do the play for you. I do not think you have the capability of performing my play. The Monarch in Marigold Thunder.
Gesundheit.
No, we can do that. Mrs. Hughes, get Mr. Truckle. He get Mr. Truckle, and you can do it as well. And then we'll have someone else, and we'll perform the play for you.
At once, my lady.
Can I go ahead and
Yeah, let's do that and see what happens on that.
we're gonna heighten the tension.
Yeah, that's right. So, all right. So, Sir Petty Royal and Prentice Pennery Kensington and the third actress Ophelia that never came up whatsoever, not appearing in this film, are sitting there in the main living room, and they're all sitting down in front, waiting. Well, go on, let us see.
Just right here.
Because yes, it's Chekhov's play. If he says he's going to have it happen, he brings it up, it's going to be acted out. Yay.
Naturally.
All right. Which one of you is going to be the wet person? You seem rather moist. And I want you to be Clinomia, and then you can be Magpus, and then
Magpus, my lady.
And then once you're done as the wet person, hand your script to Mr. Mr. Treach.
Oh, yes, my lady.
Would you be willing to read this play for us?
Absolutely, my lady.
Very well. So you will be the grinder. All right.
I'm sure that I will be able to find my mark.
So, all right. Go ahead.
Oh, it starts with me.
Oh. Then we need flowers for him. Graves, your flowers.
Is this it?
That's all that's left.
She takes the stalks.
And they all sit back.
This Get on with it, Bennett.
From distant waters do we walk
Louder!
upon blessed sands, yet no gods follow such blasphemed steps. We who do follow make merry time in our final journeys to Ravana, the city
Thunder.
that none shall find. Ravana,
Thunder!
upon no map, nor stone, nor tree. Our eyes are blind, our fingers bleed.
Thunder!
Ravana,
Thunder again.
cast us to the winds, and let us tremble like broken birds that sing no songs. Ravana,
Brr.
there are no wounds that slow our haste. There is no waking from our troubled dreams. Oh, it's on me. I'm wet now. You are ours, and we are theirs, and they are them, and you are too. Consider this.
Sir Pinero.
Wet person leaves. Curtains
Mrs.
open
Miss-
to...
Okay, so Mrs. Hughes is lighting the candles and hasn't seemed to notice that her thumb is on fire.
You all smell something cooking.
Raspberry pudding?
More like bacon.
I haven't
It's
smelled meat
red.
in years.
Rancid bacon.
Bacon that's had a hard, terrible life. Pigs that have been cruelly brought upon this earth and snuffed out.
Mrs. Hughes, your
Angry
thumb.
bacon.
Oh. It is dark now.
Yes, there is no light.
For all my days I have served in quad, hand and foot upon royal blood. Once in younger days I did dream of lily fields and majestic skies.
And as she reads this, the room seems to get deathly still. Not even winds are hearing anymore. And the room seems to be getting a little bit darker. And all the lights now is just focusing on the candles that Mrs. Hughes has lit.
Quicksilver upon the belly of my life, never to be seen once more. And yet I do remain humble and steadfast as my bones grow tired and my sinews ache.
You talk too much.
Looks down the line. Smack. There now, old cock. I punctuate my words with a fist and a blow.
Aye. Strike upon me if you will. I serve my master and do so in my intent. If we do not prepare for his ascent, thy strike shall be like gentle kisses from a newborn's lips in comparison to his mighty wrath.
I forgive.
Pornographic, isn't it?
Quite. I forgive your impudence, wretch, but only for the lateness of the hour.
And there seems to be a shadow forming in the back.
To prepare for our lord and master in solitude is not my liking. We await the monarch, befouled in majestic trappings, bejeweled in wretched splendor.
And the room grows very, very dark, and the air is still as the candles continue to flicker, and the dark shadow of a large figure in the back seems to be forming.
With sugar spun mackle mucks and wine stained beastie-lings, but soft. Do you hear? The melody that grows closer in approach, unnatural and yet familiar in its refrain.
Its remembrance haunts my unfocused thoughts. Like-
Somewhere in the house you hear echoing of an organ playing. Somewhere in very faint somewhere else.
Oh, are the rats into the organ again?
I don't know. It seems as though.
Wait, like
Continue on.
like the fragments of a lost dream, remembered but for a brief moment, found and quickly forgotten.
Drawing sword. Who doth approach, be you friend or foe? Oh, I see. Drawing a sword. Who doth approach, be you friend or foe? Music stops into the organ grinder, carrying organ box on a pole. Grinder!
Do you want some sausage?
That's,
Organ grinder, not sausage.
that's not what the line says.
Different kind of organ.
I'm sorry.
Read here upon the line. Read here upon the line.
For those of you who are actually seeing the shadow and the people at home do not get to see it.
Oh, they don't see.
It's like looking around confused.
Confused the shadow.
I've brought my finest kidney sausages.
That's not the line, sir. Mr. Treach, your ladyship
sir.
demands you take this seriously.
I'm trying,
Speak
sir.
the lines as they are written.
I'm unable, sir. I seem to be in the dark, as it were.
Well, give your lines to someone else then.
Oh,
Now don't get close to the candles then.
No. Goodness.
it feels quite cold in here.
Mr. Treach, if you do not muster yourself and read the lines as written, I will give your part to another.
Well,
Shadow's very
I
exasperated.
feel like a sausage man would be useful in this scene.
Not a sausage grinder, an organ grinder. Good God, man, have you no understanding?
My pardon, sir. I mistook the part entirely.
Yes. You thought yourself the grinder when truly you were the monkey.
That was. I'm.
Miss Lovett. Miss Lovett, read the part of the grinder. I dare say, Mr. Treach, seat yourself, sir.
Eight?
It is a simple matter, Mrs. Lovett.
Raspberry pudding?
Raspberry pudding later. For now, read the part of the grinder.
I have seen a tractor.
Good God, I do not have time for any of
I'm
this.
sure you'd rather be back to the sausage man now, wouldn't you?
Perhaps the hour approaching is going to be better than this. Give me the part. Mr. Graves, read.
What?
The grinder.
The grinder. I be neither, but I am known.
Thank you. Continue.
How do we know thee, stranger? Your face is in shadow, and your form is hidden. By what are you known?
From my melody.
'Twas you. Now I do see. You bring forth the music which we did hear, a melodious foreshadowing that charms.
Excuse me.
And the bells of the clock is starting to ring as if Nobody noticed the lateness of the hour that it's, it must be midnight.
It does seem to be midnight.
Are you alright, Mr. Trungle?
I'm quite fine. Continue on with the play. I'm sure everything will be fine.
I'm not.
And Mr. Trungle is trying to cover up with a handkerchief that, just this.
A little consumption?
No, I'm quite all right. Quite all right. Carry on. The play.
Grinder.
She didn't finish her line, but whatever. I am the music, yes.
Then we greet thee, welcome, and entreat you to stay for a moment, for we prepare the advent of our Lord and King, he who presides above this kingdom of Quatra.
And the shadow, points over to Mrs. Lovett and points over to a water bottle or the water pitcher there, and over towards Mitt.
Thank you. Yes, sorry. Then we greet thee, welcome, and entreat you to stay for a moment, for we prepare the advent of our Lord and King, he who presides above this kingdom of Quatra.
Would I take your music box, master musician?
And the room grows darker again, and only the light of the candles are burning.
The music is part of me. It will not be separated from my grasp.
A servant to one's music, like Orpheus as he sang to Eurydice, calling forth into the great abyss with sorrow and regret.
A servant, yes.
Terribly sorry. We do serve the
Not
royal.
starting to get a little bit brighter.
We do serve the royal throne as well, bled and born to our monarch and master.
And yet, do not all men bleed with equal crimson and marrow? The bloody cut can adorn all men's necks, no matter the head that wears the adorned crown.
You speak treasonous inclination, my sirrah.
I mean no offense to thee. I merely intend reverence to that which holds dominion upon us all. That being Thanatos and his siding blade.
Perhaps pick up the pace a little bit.
Good gents,
Let's get
nice.
good gentles, let us not quarrel of the nature of mortal quarrels. Our time is short upon both this earth and upon this day. We have much to be done. Magpus, do fetch our master's goblets from the pantry, and you, my lord, would you wish to stay? Surely your music would soothe our troubled lord's brow like a cooling balm for the mind.
For thee I stay.
Distant cannon fire echoes in the background.
And you hear in the background the cannon fire actually going off and echoing through the halls.
Did someone leave the gun cabinet unlocked for Ruprecht again?
And the shadow is retreating even further. It's getting bright again.
I should go check, sir.
The enemy grows closer. Soon we shall be overrun.
What gives you such certainty?
Smoke and gunfire, the echoing footsteps of death approach. The steely cannons are but the trotting of a pale horse in flight. Although we remain steadfast, we hasten to the grave.
Piteous attempts to avoid one's charge. even the grasp of mortality requires a straightened cloth upon the table.
'Tis sobering music, my lady.
Sobering music, indeed.
Fair minstrel, do not encourage his moral lacking. If it were to be a winter's day, he would be crying for the absence of sunlight.
And the
If it
shadow
were
is
summer-
like, in the corner now, kind of just with its arms folded.
If it were summer, he would bemoan the heat.
I speak my thoughts.
You speak your sloth.
A curious melody. The approach of death. It is played upon many things in different times. Some hear its melody in haste, some in slow rhythm. It is different for every man, woman, and child, and yet, no matter the variation, it ends exactly the same, in silence.
And scene.
And the members of the theater are all looking at you.
Is this not the point of applause?
I don't think we've got finished.
There's one more page.
There's one more
There's
page.
one more
There's
page,
one.
yeah.
I
Page 18.
don't have another page.
Oh,
There you go.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
Here's the extraction page.
And the shadow basically just, you can see it just, and then it can go off and disappear into the wall after that, the whole thing.
Well, that's charming.
Come, Slowfoot. Our master comes soon. We must prepare for his arrival with wine and savories.
Lead,
Raspberry pudding.
I follow.
Do stay, minstrel. Our king should prove a kind audience for your melodies and reward the appropriate.
Cronomia and Magpus exit.
And now the overture concludes. A refrain unfamiliar and yet known. Your master shall hear my melody, and my master shall dance before you all. No man, no child shall be deafened to these songs. Death end, perhaps. The sun grows crimson in the haze and fog of gunfire and blood, setting unto an uneasy horizon. My song will be heard, the bells shall ring. The echoes shall remain as unseen witness to what will transpire. Night falls upon this land. Night falls upon us all.
Cannon fire is heard once again. With
Yeah, but there's no
lights.
cannon fire this time.
Oh.
And the lights are back to normal.
I blow out the candles.
Seems we have completed the play. Are you pleased with the performance, milady?
The Sir Pennyroyal is looking at the other two. That performance was sensational, my man! How have you not been here before? My God, we're taking you two on the road with us, my God!
Bye. Don't see what all the fuss was about. He was passing at best.
Going on the road.
And that's game.
Oh, sorry.
So, this, of course, is The Terrible Tale of the Perilous Play, written by Alex Flanagan, Coffee Detective on Twitter, good friend of mine, excellent. Unfortunately, the play was written by me. But actually, if you're watching this, I'll be sure. I can't even remember. I'm sorry, Alex. I can't remember right off the cuff, but I'll mention on my Twitter and all that. So, again, you guys have fun?
Yes.
And again, this is Bedlam Hall, available through Monkey Fun Studios and through Drive Through RPG and Indie Press. We have multiple terrible tales associated with this. And before we go any further, so again, this was a one-shot that we wanted to do, but now the game is over. I will let everybody in it, one by one, say what their secret was. So go ahead, Mr. Graves.
My secret was, I am afraid of cars. Automobiles.
I thought you.
You're scared of automobiles, even being in their presence. They watch you, waiting.
There you go. Miss Bennett?
I once posed in a gentleman's magazine showing off my bare ankles and knees. Scantily.
Ooh.
Yes.
Well, I was close on yours. I thought maybe you were a stripper.
Burlesque dancer.
Yeah. You made a pact with the devil as a cure for tuberculosis 6 years, 6 months, and 5 days ago. Uh-oh.
Mr. Treach?
You are functionally blind.
Yeah.
Luckily, you have memorized the household layout so you don't bump into things. You also remember voices quite well, but nobody better move anything. Which is why I didn't make eye contact with anybody through the whole meeting, except by accident, when I was like, what? Oh.
Mrs. Hughes?
You died in 1894. But you simply had too much to do around the house. Now you are the equivalent of the Walking Dead. You prefer your meat blue rare and often have to cover up a lingering, unsettling fragrance.
And of course, my favorite, Mrs. Lovett, please read your secret.
Although you understand English, sort of, you only know the following English phrases. Yes, thank you, dining room, Nova Scotia, Canada. I have seen a tractor, raspberry pudding, you stupid window sniffer, and angry knickers.
I did add the fact that to say anything else required a success with plus fortitude.
Which is why when you gave me the play, I rolled, looked at Dave, said 8, and he went, no.
So thank you guys very much for playing.
Very well done.
For those of you who watched, thank you very much again. I'm Dave from Monkey Fun Studios. Please stay tuned. We're going to be streaming some other stuff live from Strategicon Gateway 2019. Yeah! Woo! And later this evening, of course, we'll be doing the Happy Jacks RPG podcast with a live studio audience. Woo! So stick around for that. And again, find us on Happy Jacks RPG wherever your favorite podcasts and streaming can be found. So that's it. Thank you very much,
They have
guys.
to do a thing.
Oh, do you have to do a thing?
I don't have the thing.
What's your thing?
We have to do a thing. There's a script. I was promised there would be a cheat sheet.
It's there somewhere. Clara eventually found it.
Right? Yeah. It's in here somewhere.
You could read the play, but you...
I know, right?
Is
Yeah.
there one over there, like in that red binder?
Oh, maybe. Yeah. I know we have a whole script now
Can
that
you
we're
send
trying to make
people
this
to
more
come and turn off the
professional.
stream?
I can do that.
Oh, you can? Okay.
I know how to do that. I just don't know what needs saying. The things I do know about, tonight 8 p.m. Pacific in this very room, we'll be doing our live studio audience podcast discussion of
Yes.
of games that have been run and played and our experiences and things that we've had fun with and all the great stuff.
There it is. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we found it.
Yeah.
Very good, go ahead.
Go.
That's the end of tonight's session. We hope you enjoyed it. Join us live
Woo!
next time we play, which actually will be the streaming podcast
8
tonight
o'clock.
at 8 o'clock. And then tomorrow, I believe tomorrow morning
9
at
o'clock.
9 o'clock a.m., 9 a.m. For our next session, or subscribe to our actual play feed to get the podcast when it's released. If you want to catch up on past episodes, visit happyjacks.org/games or /shows and find all the APs on the Happy Jacks network at happyjacks.org/shows. Other announcements and events people are doing, don't worry, there will be a cheat sheet on the table.
Nice.
No.
There's nothing
I
else
love
happening.
how Adam reads the stage direction.
Yes.
You got it.
No, I will say, I will plug my show every other Wednesday night on Happy Jacks RPG. I'm running Changeling the Dreaming 20th Anniversary Edition. It's called The Clockwise Court. You can check it out at happyjacks.org/clockwise court.
Excellent. Sweet.
At least until the clock runs out.
Yes.
All right. Bye.
Bye.